Hey everybody, it's Dimitri at the National Posture Institute, and I was just wanting to bring a few pointers today for those of you that work with clients that may do a lot of vacuuming either at their job or at home. So just some things to look out for when you're assessing their posture while they're doing the activity, and then how they can also incorporate proper alignment into this repetitive motion. So the first thing you'd want to look out for and make sure they don't do is when they're vacuuming, you don't want them to have the vacuum in the center of their body. The reason is when you're doing this kind of motion, if you look at the joint structures and how they're aligned from the wrist to the shoulder complex, you have the wrist going in this direction, you have a line of motion with the elbow going in this direction, and then the shoulder is at a slightly different line going in the same direction, but each of these three joint structures are in a separate plane. Now, when you're at the gym and you're doing a back row, you always want to make sure that the weight or the cable is in the exact line of movement that the wrist, elbow, and shoulder are. So really it's going to be almost one straight line when you're doing this motion, and it's no different than when you're vacuuming. You're just repetitively moving a weight just in the form of a vacuum. So when they're doing it, you want to be sure that they're more to the side of their body when they're doing this motion, okay? So everything's nice and in line. The second thing you want to do is from the side view, you don't want them to go back too far. When you're assessing somebody using a goniometer and assessing their range of motion, when they're in proper alignment and those scapula are correctly retracted, that limits your safe range of motion. As soon as you let the scapula and the rhomboids relax, you're really able to let that elbow float further back, but by doing that additional range of motion with the destabilized shoulder complex, it puts you at a greater risk of injury. So when you have them retract the shoulders and just bring back their elbow as far as they can, and then bend at the elbow, and then have them grab the vacuum, that's as far back as you want them to pull back. So you don't want them to go all the way back like that. With the properly retracted shoulders, it will limit how far back they can go. And then one of the other things is you really want to make sure that they're not looking down with their head, but more keeping their chin tucked back and more looking down at what they're doing. Okay, so again, it's not going to be like this. They're going to tuck their chin back and look down with their eyes. They may have to do a little bit of bending forward to fully see what they're doing, but if you really have them focus on looking with their eyes and not with their whole head, that will help protect their cervical spine. And then lastly, just as they're moving around, looking at their lower joint structures, you want to make sure that if they have any knock knee or bow leg, they're not reinforcing those tendencies when they're moving from side to side or around. So you want to make sure that they always have a stable base that they're moving from, and that their knees never really go sideways, either medially or laterally over the feet. You just always want to make sure that their knees are in line with the feet as much as possible when they're moving around. Okay, so the whole motion could just kind of look like this. And also have them switch sides as often as they can to make sure that there's no muscular imbalances. Because again, this is a back row. So what they're doing is potentially doing hundreds of reps if they're doing it just on one side. That can build a lot of strength over the time. So in closing, this is Dimitri and the NPI mascot buddy with the National Posture Institute. Feel free to share this with any clients or other trainers that you have or that you know, and let us know if you have any questions. Thanks.
Be sure to like us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube page for more free videos, and don't forget to share with family and friends in need of posture advice, and also let us know if you have any questions.